First things first is we start the video here. Yes, I have had some more remodeling done. I've had this egress window put in here the last couple of days or so. So I don't know exactly how it's going to affect the lighting for my video, as that was the Uncanny Avengers review was shot before this happened. So this is the first video. I don't know how it's going to turn out exactly. Hopefully it'll be all right though. It doesn't seem to be too bad. Also, Buffy the Vampire Slayer first season DVD set available somewhere probably. I guess it's streaming on Hulu now. Why would you buy the DVDs? Okay, anyway, on to the Doctor Strange review. Okay, now, like I said, this is the Doctor Strange review. Just saw it about a half hour or so ago. At least that's around the time I think the show ended. Had to park further away than usual. Then, anyway. Also, my notes for this were not very good. I'm going to start with a minor complaint about the film. The lighting in it was not very good if you're like me and you want to take notes for your amateur film review show. So yeah, a lot of my stuff is a little more scribbly than usual, so I'm going to try my darndest to hit some of the high points. Okay, starting off, there's like, it starts in one of, not the sanctums, I guess, the home of the Ancient One, where the library is. And the villain and his followers, the villain's name is Caecilius. I don't know if I spelled it right at all. I didn't quite get it in the credits. They come in, they behead the librarian, and they steal these pages from one of the books that has the glowing eye of Agamotto on it. Then we cut to Doctor Strange, and right away, throughout a lot of Strange's early appearances, they're focusing on his hands. Like they're obviously they're doing a lot of foreshadowing as to what happens. He has a sort of on-again, off-again relationship with a cohort, a Dr. Palmer. Unlike in the original comic, it was his wife, and she was with him in the car when it happened. This time he was alone, and when he has his car accident that leaves him paralyzed. Well, at least not paralyzed, but his hands damaged. I'll get to that. As that accident is about to happen, though, there's actually there's a Civil War reference that he gets a call about a pilot of an armor suit or something. I can't remember the exact term they used, but yeah, it's Rhodey. He said this guy was piloting an armor suit of some kind and it crashed, and he has a severed spinal column. And Strange is like, no, I'd rather hear something else. And one of the other ones is a woman who had a microchip in her brain to control schizophrenia that got fried. And I'm trying to think of who that could be. I'm not entirely sure. The only Marvel villain female who has that kind of mental condition that I can think of was Typhoid Mary, who was a Daredevil villain, so I don't know. Anyway, he has the accident, and they get really kind of graphic with it, because he crashes his car. In fact, he's distracted driving because he's like fumbling with his smartphone as it happens. And they actually, in the end credits of the film, they actually have a warning about, hey, don't text and drive. Anyway, he has his accident, and they show him in the hospital when he wakes up, and he has all these pins and harnesses sticking out of his hands, and they're chopped up like this, and he's sort of like, what happened? And they actually go into really detail about the rehab. He keeps having surgery after surgery to try to restore the feeling in his hands completely. And like I said, he's in the rehab, and he's like working on this like flexible thing to strengthen his hands, and he's struggling, and his physical therapist talks about there was this one guy who was paralyzed, and then he just sort of vanished. He bumped into him a couple of years later, and he was walking and seemed able-bodied again. Dr. Strange tracks him down. That's a doctor. He's not a doctor. His name is Pangborn. He's played by Benjamin Bratt. And he's the one who refers Strange to the realm of the Ancient One. Strange journeys to Kathmandu. It's there that he bumps into Mordo first. Mordo takes him to the Ancient One. Ancient One like automatically turns Strange down, but then Mordo talks her into allowing him to become a student. It's then we meet the new librarian, and the new librarian is Wong, and there's kind of this running joke throughout the film. Strange keeps referring to Wong by other one-name celebrities. I'm trying to think, it was I don't think he says Madonna. I'm trying Beyonce. Well, at one point he says Beyonce, and then literally, like, every time he says, Wong no-sells it, and like I said, he calls him Beyonce, and he's like, oh really, you haven't heard of Beyonce? And literally they cut to the next scene, Wong is on an iPod listening to Crazy in Love by Beyonce. So yeah, he just doesn't find the joke funny. He goes through a lot of studying Strange. He finds the book that Caecilius had removed some pages from. It turns out that Caecilius is like the protege of Dormammu, or it was a former protege of the Ancient One. He somehow got in contact with the Dread Dormammu, and that was how that happened. And they talk about relics, and Mordo has a staff. It is the staff of the Living Tribunal, which again is another great comic reference. The Living Tribunal is sort of one of many godlike entities in the Marvel Universe. There's Living Tribunal. There's the Celestials, the Pantheon, Galactus would fall into that category too, I guess. Anyway, and they talk about he needs to get his relic. Eventually he does get the relic. I'll get to that eventually. They also mentioned the Wonder Tomb a couple of times. Anyway, Strange gets the Eye of Agamotto. Man, my notes are on this part are really bad. Bad lighting throughout this, if you're trying to take notes. He gets the Eye of Agamotto. This is the Time Gem. I said gem. Time Stone. Yeah, they changed it, not Infinity Gems like in the comic. Just a sec here. And, Mordo and Wong kind of fill him in on everything. Like I said, he can literally, when he's working with the eye, it's like he has this apple, and it's like he goes this way, and the apple, like, has chunks taken out of it, and then starts to rot. He goes back the other way, and it returns to being a full apple. And then as Mordo and Wong are sort of filling him in on everything in the backstory, it's then that Caecilius attacks, because there's three separate sanctums on Earth. There's one in Hong Kong, one in London, and one in New York City. The London one gets attacked by Caecilius as they're trying to fight through, and like Strange literally gets knocked so hard he gets knocked all the way into the New York sanctum. Caecilius comes in and jumps the guy who's protecting that. They fight. Strange actually briefly manages to get the upper hand. He gets the Cloak of Levitation, and that's one of his relics. That's pretty much his main relic. The cloak sort of moves like a being without a suit, and it attaches himself to him. At one point, it takes one of Caecilius's henchmen and starts bashing him into the floor, so it has a personality unto itself. There's a point where like I said, Strange briefly gets an upper hand on Caecilius, and Caecilius says, "You don't understand. The Ancient One draws powers from the Dark Dimension of Dormammu herself. Why do you think she's so ancient? She has the secret to immortality." And Strange kind of hesitates, and this allows another henchman to get the jump on him. He stabs him. Strange manages to just barely open a portal to his old hospital. Dr. Palmer, his on-again, off-again girlfriend, winds up having to drain blood out of his pericardium. And Strange actually astral projects to coach her through it. And then that other henchman astral projects into the hospital too, and there's this astral fight. They bang into like a food vending machine, like the bags of chips just all start falling down. The guy who just used it comes back and starts grabbing chips out of there. Eventually, the Zealots come back again. They start preparing to fight once more. They go into the mirror dimension, which is when you see like New York City all tripping and folding in on itself, sort of Inception style. There's this big chase. It's then that the Ancient One shows up, And Mordo realizes that Caecilius was telling the truth, that she is drawing power from the Dark Dimension. And unfortunately, in the midst of that, the Ancient One gets stabbed and winds up dying from it. This leads to the climactic battle in Hong Kong, where... excuse me. The climactic battle in Hong Kong, where Strange and Mordo's kind of jaded at this point. He doesn't really want to fight, but Strange kind of talks him into it. They arrive, but they arrive too late. The Sanctum has fallen. The Dark Dimension is opening up, and Dormammu's about to come through. It's at this point, again, Doctor Strange activates the eye, starts turning back time again. Finally, he just leaps into the portal, and he sets the portal in sort of this time loop. So he tells Dormammu he wants to make a deal. Dormammu just kills him. He comes back. Dormammu kills him again. And finally, it's like, you don't understand. I can do this forever. You want to conquer, like, this is the bargain. You leave Earth alone. You take Caecilius and his followers with you. You leave this planet alone. And I free you from this time loop that you are now trapped in. And Dormammu winds up agreeing. He summons back Caecilius and everyone else. Unfortunately, kind of as a result of all this, because they broke several of the Ancient One's laws, and the Ancient One herself was breaking laws, Mordo is just really jaded. He just walks off, says, I'm not going to help you anymore. Doctor Strange does not become Sorcerer Supreme in this story. He's still Doctor Strange. He's going to protect the New York Sanctum with Wong. I don't know who's protecting the other two Sanctums at this point, but... And that's basically how the film ends, although we do get two credit sequences. First, there's a mid-roll. Strange is talking with Thor. Thor turns down tea and is like, okay. So he gives him a beer, and it's like this constantly refilling glass of beer. So Thor drinks it, it fills back up. Thor drinks it, it fills back up. Anyway, Thor has brought Loki to New York to locate Odin for some reason. And this is where I'm getting confused. Like I said, I never saw Thor the Dark World yet. I guess that means I should probably see it. But as I was led to believe from something I heard, didn't Loki, like, replace Odin somehow? Or I don't know how that worked out anyway. And then the end sequence is Mordo visiting the Pangborn, the Benjamin Bratt character. And he says, I figured out the problem. There's too many sorcerers in the world. And he slams his hand on it and steals Pangborn's magical ability that allowed him to heal his paralysis. And that's how it ends. Like I said, I'm going to get into the overall thoughts now. Like I said, my nitpick was with the lighting, at least not conducive to good note-taking. If I really had one other complaint, it's that... Benedict Cumberbatch, his attempt at an American accent sounds exactly like Hugh Laurie on House MD. And yeah, I know Hugh Laurie was a British actor, also affecting an American accent. But like I said, it's almost the exact same mannerisms. It's like, if you had filmed this thing 20 years before, would you have put Hugh Laurie in it? Yeah. Anyway, like I said, those are pretty minor nitpicks. Overall, really great cinematography, like the effects where Strange is sent traveling through dimensions in his astral form, or the mirror dimension where everything's folding in on itself. That's just all really well shot and really well done. Except for that accent thing, Benedict Cumberbatch is completely convincing as Doctor Strange. It was obviously a great choice. I like Chiwetel Ejiofor as an actor. He was alright in this, but the character of Mordo was really underwritten, I think. He was basically a sidekick throughout most of this, and, you know, then his heel turn doesn't quite make sense. At least if you remember the comics. Mordo was more of a power-hungry guy. In fact, he was more Caecilius than... I don't even know if Caecilius was in the comics. Most of the Doctor Strange comics I have read are the early ones by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. I haven't read any of the Michael Golden stuff, or any of the stuff from the 90s. And I did try reading The Oath, and that was terrible. Anyway, but like I said, my nitpicks are really minor nitpicks. Although there's one more complaint I'll have. Rachel McAdams as Dr. Palmer, again, really doesn't add anything to the plot except very early on. And then it, again, just seems to be more along for the ride. They really didn't need her that much. Tilda Swinton, that's the Ancient One. Again, controversy aside, as the Ancient One in the comics was Asian and she's white. But she was all right. I think she managed to come along pretty well with a lot of good quipping and such. So, I guess overall, I'm probably going to give this a low A. I would say see it. For the most part, you'll probably enjoy it. I would probably keep from bringing young kids, anyone under the age of, say, 7. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of the, when he's traveling through the universe, as it gets really trippy, it could get really unnerving, I think, for some of them, just because the camera shakes and everything. I saw it in 2D, so I don't know anything about the 3D. Okay, trailer time. First off, we have A Monster Calls, which is about a kid who's being raised by his mother, and I think she dies. She has cancer or something. He's sent to live with like a grandmother. He doesn't fit in anymore, and somehow this monster that he had drawn when he was a small child comes to life and becomes sort of his avatar fighting thing. It didn't look bad, but obviously I just don't think it was really my cup of tea. It looked like a wannabe Harry Potter. After that, we have Assassin's Creed, which I don't really care about. I have never played any of the Assassin's Creed games. I do know for some reason they're starting with Assassin's Creed 2 and not Assassin's Creed 1. I don't know why. After that, we have The Space Between Us, starring the kid from Ender's Game. And again, he's a kid who's grown up in space on Mars. I don't know if this is meant to be in the future or what. His mother died shortly after giving birth to him, and he's seeking out his father, who still lives on Earth. And they go, and he has a kind of Earth girlfriend who he communicates through video chat somehow. I don't know. It looked very quirky, I'll just say that. After that, we have Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I think this is the first time I've seen this trailer in the theaters. So, we got that going for you. Looks alright, I don't know. I had seen all the Harry Potter movies in the theater. I don't know if I'll see this one or not. Maybe, probably. I mean, I'm not going to see it on my own. If I see it, I'll probably see it with a family. After that, we have Passenger, which I initially thought was going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy 2 trailer because it had Chris Pratt in space. But no, it's people who are traveling to another world who are in suspended animation. 2 of them come out of it early on, and shenanigans ensue. Don't know if it was meant to be a comedy or what. And then, last but not least, we have the Rogue One trailer, the new Rogue One trailer. Star Wars, hopefully I'll be able to see that too. I don't know yet. That's it for trailers. So, obviously, tomorrow is going to be the Uncanny Avengers review, and then let's see. And then I said this in my Hell in the Cell review. There's going to be a 3-week break in between episodes of Random Trade Review, because if I took the 2-week break, I would be releasing 3 videos in 3 days during the early holiday season. I do need some time to actually be able to get some Christmas gifts and stuff like that. So I'm trying to space things out just a little bit. Hopefully it won't affect too much, but yeah, it's going to be a 3-week break. See you all then.